who imported many of the newly acquired customs and habits of the Orient to their own countries, seems to be a well-established fact. And it does not contradict the statement made by some writers who declared that the gypsies, who about that time began to wander over Europe, brought with them and introduced cards, which they used, as they do at the present day, for divining the future. See the Devil's Picture books. Through the gypsies the tarot cards may be traced back to the religious symbolism of the ancient Egyptians. In his remarkable work, The Gypsies, Samuel Roberts presents ample proof of their Egyptian origin. In one place he writes, when gypsies originally arrived in England is very uncertain. They are first noticed in our laws, by several statutes against them in the reign of Henry VIII, in which they are described as an outlandish people, calling themselves Egyptians, who do not profess any craft or trade, but go about in great numbers. A curious legend relates that after the destruction of the Serapeum in Alexandria, the large body of attendant priests banded themselves together to preserve the secrets of the rites of Serapis. Their descendants gypsies carrying with them the most precious of the volumes saved from the burning library, the Book of Enoch, or Thoth the Tarot, became wanderers upon the face of the earth, remaining a people apart with an ancient language and a birthright of magic and mystery. Cortegabellan believed the word tarot itself to be derived from two Egyptian words, tar, meaning road, and ro, meaning royal. Thus the tarot constitutes the royal road to wisdom. See Le Monde Primitif. In his History of Magic, P. Christian, the mouthpiece of a certain French secret society, presents a fantastic account of a purported initiation into the Egyptian mysteries wherein the 22 major tarots assume the proportions of trestle boards of immense size and lie in a great gallery. Stopping before each card in turn, the initiator described its symbolism to the candidate. Edouard Schurey, whose source of information was similar to that of Christians, hints at the same ceremony in his chapter on initiation into the Hermetic mysteries. See The Great Initiates. While the Egyptians may well have employed the tarot cards in their rituals, these French mystics present no evidence other than their own assertions to support this theory. The validity also of the so-called Egyptian tarots now in circulation has never been satisfactorily established. The drawings are not only quite modern but the symbolism itself savors of French rather than Egyptian influence. The tarot is undoubtedly a vital element in Rosicrucian symbolism, possibly the very book of universal knowledge which the members of the order claim to possess. The Rotamundi is a term frequently occurring in the early manifestos of the Fraternity of the Rose Cross. The word rota by a rearrangement of its letters becomes tarot, the ancient name of these mysterious cards. W.F.C. Wigston has discovered evidence that Sir Francis Bacon employed the tarot symbolism in his ciphers. The numbers 21, 56, and 78, which are all directly related to the divisions of the tarot deck, are frequently involved in Bacon's cryptograms. In the great Shakespearean folio of 1623 the Christian name of Lord Bacon appears 21 times on page 56 of the Histories. See the Columbus of Literature. Many symbols appearing upon the tarot cards have definite Masonic interest. The Pythagorean numerologist will also find an important relationship to exist between the numbers on the cards and the designs accompanying the numbers. The Kabbalist will be immediately impressed by the significant sequence of the cards, and the alchemist will discover certain emblems meaningless save to one versed in the divine chemistry of transmutation and regeneration. As the Greeks placed the letters of their alphabet, with their corresponding numbers, upon the various parts of the body of their humanly represented logos, so the tarot cards have an analogy not only in the parts and members of the universe but also in the divisions of the human body. They are in fact the key to the magical constitution of man. The tarot cards must be considered one as separate and complete hieroglyphs, each representing a distinct principle, law, power, or element in nature. 2 inches relation to each other as the effect of one agent operating upon another, and 3 as vowels and consonants of a philosophic alphabet. The laws governing all phenomena are represented by the symbols upon the tarot cards, whose numerical values are equal to the numerical equivalents of the phenomena. As every structure consists of certain elemental parts, so the tarot cards represent the components of the structure of philosophy. Irrespective of the science or philosophy with which the student is working, The tarot cards can be identified with the essential constituents of his subject, each card thus being related to a specific part according to mathematical and philosophical laws. An imprisoned person, writes Eliphas Levi, with no other book than the tarot, if he knew how to use it, could in a few years acquire universal knowledge, and would be able to speak on all subjects with unequaled learning and inexhaustible eloquence. See Transcendental Magic. The diverse opinions of eminent authorities on the tarot symbolism are quite irreconcilable. The conclusions of the scholarly court to Gibelin and the bizarre Grand Itala, the first authorities on the subject, not only are at radical variance but both are equally discredited by Levi, whose arrangement of the tarot trumps was rejected in turn by Arthur Edward Waite and Paul Case as being an effort to mislead students. The followers of Levi, especially Papus, Christian, Westcott, and Shurey, are regarded by the Reformed Tarotists as honest but benighted individuals who wandered in darkness for lack of Pamela Coleman Smith's new deck of tarot cards with revisions by Mr. Waite. Most writers on the tarot, Mr. Waite a notable exception, have proceeded upon the hypothesis that the 22 major trumps represent the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. This supposition is based upon nothing more substantial than the coincidence that both consist of 22 parts. That Postel, St. Martin, and Levi all wrote books divided into sections corresponding to the major tarots is an interesting sidelight on the subject. The major trump cards portray incidents from the Book of Revelation, and the Apocalypse of St. John is also divided into 22 chapters. Assuming the Kabbalah to hold the solution to the tarot riddle, seekers have often ignored other possible lines of research. The task, however, of discovering the proper relationship sustained by the tarot trumps to the letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the paths of wisdom thus far has not met with any great measure of success. The major trumps of the tarot and the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet cannot be synchronized without first fixing the correct place of the unnumbered, or zero, card, Lamat, the Fool. Levi places this card between the 20th and 21st tarots, assigning to it the Hebrew letter Shin. The same order is followed by Papus, Christian, and Waite, the last, however, declaring this arrangement to be incorrect. Westcott makes the zero card the 22nd of the tarot major trumps. On the other hand, both Court de Gibelin and Paul Case place the unnumbered card before the first numbered card of the major trumps, for if the natural order of the numbers according to either the Pythagorean or Kabbalistic system be adhered to, the zero card must naturally precede the number 1. This does not dispose of the problem, however, for efforts to assign a Hebrew letter to each tarot trump in sequence produce an effect far from convincing. Mr. Waite, who reedited the tarot, expresses himself thus: I am not to be included among those who are satisfied that there is a valid correspondence between Hebrew letters and tarot trump symbols. See Introduction to the Book of Formation by Knut Stenring. The real explanation may be that the major tarots no longer are in the same sequence as when they formed the leaves of Hermes' sacred book, for the Egyptians, or even their Arabian successors, could have purposely confused the cards so that their secrets might be better preserved. Mr. Case has developed a system which, while superior to most, depends largely upon two debatable points, namely, the accuracy of Mr. Waite's revised tarot and the justification for assigning the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet to the unnumbered, or zero, card. Since Aleph, the first Hebrew letter, has the numerical value of 1, its assignment to the zero card is equivalent to the statement that 0 is equal to the letter Aleph and therefore synonymous with the number 1. With rare insight, Court de Gibelin assigned the zero card to Ein Sof, the unknowable first cause. As the central panel of the Bambine table represents the creative power surrounded by 7 triads of manifesting divinities, so may the zero card represent that eternal power of which the 21 surrounding or manifesting aspects are but limited expressions. If the 21 major trumps be considered as limited forms existing in the abstract substance of the zero card, it then becomes their common denominator. Which letter, then, of the Hebrew alphabet is the origin of all the remaining letters? The answer is apparent: Yod. In the presence of so many speculations, one more may not offend. The zero card, Lamat, the Fool, has been likened to the material universe because the mortal sphere is the world of unreality. The lower universe, like the mortal body of man, is but a garment, a motley costume, well likened to cap and bells. beneath the garments of the fool is the divine substance, however, of which the gesture is but a shadow. This world is a Mardi Gras,